aftermath of his escape from his grandma Barbara's residence, Jace Evans, the son of Jenelle Evans, has been admitted to the hospital. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and click the notification button so you never miss out on the most recent celebs on tab. The child, who is 14 years old, will be taken into custody by Child Protective Services, and after he is discharged from the hospital, he will be placed in foster care. This is due to the fact that he has often escaped from his situation. In response to the fact that the adolescent had been caught vaping at school, Barbara took away his phone as a kind of punishment, which ultimately resulted in him running away for the fourth time. He ran from Barbara's house on Saturday, and it wasn't until 11:45 p.m. on Sunday that he was located. Although Jenelle, Child Protective Services, and the foster care team warned Barbara not to give him a phone, Barbara believed that he would be able to manage having one. After Jenelle reclaimed custody of Jace earlier this year, Jace had been living with Barbara for the most of his life. After he was suspected of being injured by his stepfather David in September, he made his first attempt to get out. The source who spoke to the publication said that if Jace continues to get into problems, he may wind up in a facility that is reserved for juveniles. There has been a complete lack of communication between the adolescent and both his mother and his stepfather, David Eason. Since he was relocated out of their house and transferred to live with Jenelle's mother Barbara once again. In addition, it seemed that the new arrangement was working out well for the young man, who had been experiencing a greater level of happiness than he had in the last several weeks. Following David's accusation that he had injured Jace and his subsequent prosecution of a misdemeanor count of child abuse, Jace was removed from the residence that he shared with his mother and stepfather. Although Jace was again living under Barbara's roof, which is where he had spent the most of his childhood, he was officially under the care of Child Protective Services, who took him from the house that he shared with his mother and stepfather. Barbara, who has had an explosive relationship with Jenelle over the years, is also not in contact with her daughter or David, according to the same sources. In spite of the fact that he has spent the most of his childhood with her, Jenelle did not win custody of him from her mother until the beginning of the year 2023. As far as we can tell, Jace has not been attending school since the month of August, when he escaped following the conclusion of the school day. However, he is now enrolled at a different school. It is expected that David will be compelled to appear in court later in November to handle the misdemeanor child abuse complaint. This will take place while Jace is being separated from the rest of his family. The court records that were acquired by TMZ indicate that he is accused of inflicting injuries on Jace in such a manner that caused marks on the right arm and left and right side of his neck. Additionally, the records suggest that Jace's claimed injuries were not sustained by accident. The event that is being said to have taken place is supposed to have occurred on September 28. This is the same night when Jace was reported missing for the third time after he escaped from under a window. When the police arrived to Evans' home at about 8 o'clock in the evening, the reality star informed the cops that Jace had left the residence, which is surrounded by forests, and that he did not have a mobile phone with him. After some while, he was discovered unharmed. Following Evans' assertion that there was no arrest warrant out for Eason at the end of the previous month, this comes as a result. The reporting that has been going on about Eason, according to Evans, is getting insane at this point. I don't see anything that has been served, the clerk said to the establishment that was owned by Eason. However, there is a warrant ready to be issued for his arrest. Evans is the mother of 2 children, a son named Kaiser, who is 9 years old, and a daughter named Ensley, who is 6 years old. Jace is shared by Evans and her ex-boyfriend Andrew Lewis. The claims that Eason attacked Jace on September 28 are now being investigated by police and other law enforcement personnel. The physical encounter was documented on the doorbell camera that was installed in their residence. The first time Child Protective Services came, they didn't let them in. This was something that was said in court. The second time they came, David believed that they were trespassers and threatened to shoot them. The third time they came in, but Jenelle restricted the interviewing of the children to only take place while she was present. The decision that was handed out by the court on Wednesday said that the children will now be interviewed away from Jenelle. According to the findings of the investigation, both Evans and Eason may be subject to charges of assault and neglect, depending on the circumstances.